I think it all boils down to the one core wound. Whether it comes to overeating, messiness, or creating a new reality, or getting into a new relationship, it all boils down to that core rejection wound, that feeling of unworthiness. Because, there's a part of us that thinks, what's the point?
Yeah.
That's it. Our fear is our biggest enemy. We are our biggest enemy. The only thing between us and our goals really is ourselves. And
And I think one of the sneakiest of self-sabotages, which I do a lot, is excuses. And I was just asking, how's our New Year's resolutions or intentions going? Because we start off with good intentions, but perhaps we're finding blocks there. And it could be, we might not be making as much progress as we wanted to because we are self-sabotaging. So that's why we thought it would be great to do self-sabotage 1 week in, so we can get on top of it and fly for the rest of the year.
Exactly. Yeah, because self-sabotage can be, I suppose, detrimental to any of our goals. And when we're not aware of it, we can just go down this spiral of, it kind of comes alongside imposter syndrome, not feeling good enough. And we unconsciously then sabotage the thing we actually want the most. But being aware of it and knowing how to overcome those thoughts and stuff is a great way to overcome it.
Yeah, because self-sabotage is often like it's a subconscious thing. So we'll talk about the kind of behaviors that is likely self-sabotage, but actually it's a deep-rooted feeling or belief that is driving the show that you need to look at and be aware of. And it's being self-aware. We've talked about being self-aware. It's super important, isn't it? Whenever you're trying to grow in any area of your life.
Exactly.
So we always start with a quote. And the quote we chose is, "Our biggest enemy is our own self-doubt. We really can achieve extraordinary things in our lives, but we sabotage our greatness because of our fear." And that's by Robin Sharman, a Canadian author and motivational speaker.
That's it. Our fear is our biggest enemy. We are our biggest enemy. The only thing between us and our goals really is ourselves. And it's just trying to overcome that fear, knowing that we can succeed, knowing that we're deserving. Because oftentimes, because due to our past or trauma or anything that we're used to, we kind of think that we're not deserving of new beginnings or a new reality. And this can, as I said, unconsciously lead us to sabotage the very thing we've always wanted.
Yeah. And people are out there might be thinking, well, I'm wanting to lose weight, and it's not that I don't think I'm worthy of it, but actually it's deep unconscious things, and it's about your identity, isn't it? It's your deep rooted identity about who you are. So for example, I'm always saying this, and I know I have to stop saying it, but I'm a messy person. And because my identity is that very deep rooted, and saying it is just reinforcing it. So I know I need to stop. I need to reframe that. But because I have a deep rooted in my subconscious view of myself, then I act on autopilot as a person who is messy. And actually, so you're not fighting against yourself. What you need to do is go within and really unpick where that's come from, and shift that view of yourself so that it frees you to go out and do and be what you want to be.
And that's it. I think it all boils down to the one core wound. Whether it comes to overeating, messiness, or creating a new reality, or getting into a new relationship, it all boils down to that core rejection wound, that feeling of unworthiness. Because, there's a part of us that thinks, what's the point? What's the point? Am I even good enough for this? What's the point of me even trying? And, this comes from when you mentioned, weight, like trying to lose weight. One of the biggest things that I've had trouble with in the past, and where I self-sabotage, is with food. And it's an unconscious belief that I'm not beautiful. And that because of that, then I overeat. And whenever I got into a low vibration energy, I overeat, and I can feel it. I can feel my tummy aching when I eat, but because of something core within me, I just keep eating. And it was the same with my appearance as well. I sabotaged my appearance due to something my ex would have said, And I actually like used to create spots all over my body just by squeezing, because I feel so low in myself that I actually sabotage my appearance. So this, I think everything that we do, it all boils down to that unconscious inner child wounding of feeling not good enough for what we want, or not beautiful enough, or not good enough to succeed in a career or a goal.
Yeah, and those thoughts connected to those beliefs can be very obvious, and they can be sneaky as well. You know, like there's, you know, it comes out in so many different ways that you're, and what people don't realize, and it's a great thing. It's a great thing that we work on autopilot a lot. I mean, it allows us the brain space. I mean, if you imagine, it's like when I put my shoes on in the morning, I put my shoes on. I don't have to think, right, the next thing I do is tie my shoelaces. It just happens automatically. So if we didn't have automatic programming and habits, then we wouldn't have the freedom to think, you know, think about new things. So having automatic things is a great thing. It frees up our mind to think about different things and explore possibilities. However, a lot of the habits that we have do not serve us, and that's the problem. So it's like one that people often do when they need to get something done is procrastination. So that's a habit. Procrastination is a habit. It's a coping strategy that you have developed when you're feeling stressed because you've got to do something, and so you distract yourself, and you get that feeling good because for a moment you're not thinking about it, so it's rewarded, and so then it becomes a habit. We've talked about habits before. So you have the cue, stress, so instead of doing the thing, you do distraction. You get a reward from that because temporarily you're not thinking about the thing that was stressing you, and so it's reinforced, and so you're more likely to do that again. Yeah.
And that is it, like, you know, those distractions are a form of self-sabotage as well, because you're taking yourself away from the thing that you actually want to do by doing something you don't want to do, effectively, yeah.
And I think one of the sneakiest of self-sabotages, which I do a lot, is excuses, because we legitimize our excuses, and actually it is just an excuse to remain stuck where you already were and not change things.
Yeah.
So if you remember last week, I was like, I'm going to start in 2 days, you know, on my routine. That is an excuse. You know, I'm like, oh, well, everything's going to kick off. And actually, I'll be honest, I'm still partially carrying on with that, because then I've given myself the excuse that, like, this is a big change from the last 2 weeks. I'm going back to work, I've got karate, this and that and the other. Allow that to settle in for a week and then start tweaking it. And this is the thing, you have to be really sort of mindful of how much it is legitimate and serving you, or how much it is not serving you, to allow those excuses to come in. That's why coaches are a great thing, or having somebody to keep you to account, because we are so good at not holding ourselves to account. Like, you can let the most ridiculous excuses go on in your head if you don't have to say them out loud to somebody else. But then if you had to report to a friend at the end of the day or the end of the week about what you're doing or why you didn't do that thing, then you probably think twice about the reason, whether the excuse, is it really an excuse, you know, that is valid, you know, or are you just self-sabotaging?
That's it. And it's the simple thing of, you know, I'm hopefully starting a course in February, and it's landing on a Wednesday at 6. Remember I told you that?
Yeah.
And the first thing to come into my head was, oh geez, I can't do that. I have to Mindset Live. Not considering the fact that we can change our Mindset Live a couple of days. But the only thing I could think about, and I was spiraling, I was like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that course. I just can't do that course because it's conflicting with something else. And I was like, no, take a step back. I actually coached myself on it. And I was like, hold on, Angela. This course is actually a really good opportunity. Just pretend for a minute it's not on a Wednesday. would you do this course? I was like, yes, of course I would. It's an absolutely fantastic opportunity. So I was like, we can actually, change our hours on Mindset Live to accommodate that.
Mm-hmm.
But initially I was sabotaging it because it was so new and scary. And that's a simple thing. But like, once you're aware of it, you can kind of go, yeah, I can tweak this. I can make it work for me rather than working against yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like you're making that decision before you'd even had a conversation with me. Oh yeah, I can't do it because,
I was on my mind for a couple of days. First I was like, oh shit, like it won't work. Like we won't be able to, everything was just spiraling in my mind, and I was worried for the next couple of days. But then when I spoke to you on Saturday about it, you were like, yeah, that'll be fine. We can do that. And it was grand. And then everything kind of just calmed within me, and I realized it was a self-sabotaging thing because I was afraid of trying something new.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. We also, like, when we let things run in our head, we just run away with it, don't we? And actually, it's good to say it out loud to someone else, because sometimes then you realize how ridiculous it is yourself. And if you don't, hopefully the person will go, really? So coaches are a great way to bring yourself along when you've got goals. Or intentions you want to set, or habits you want to set, just because they will check in on you and they will explore with you what is holding you back. But even if you're not in a position to hire a coach, just getting a friend and on board, or a family member on board, can really make the difference, because it's like telling them I'm doing this and that I want to check in with you every day. Just knowing that will make you think twice about what excuses that you are going to allow.
Exactly. Yeah. It keeps you accountable, and it makes it it encourages you to do it, like, to kind of prove yourself to yourself and to your friend or your family member.
Yeah. Now, another way that we self-sabotage is expecting perfectionism. If we're expecting perfectionism, makes us stuck. It prevents us from starting something. So, for example, I'm proud of myself for overcoming it. I did a live on my own on Sunday. Now, it wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and I was nervous and I didn't feel prepared enough and all of that. But I knew that if I didn't force myself to do it somehow, that I would allow the excuses to come in, because I knew it was going to be uncomfortable. When something's going to be uncomfortable or different, then that's when you get bombarded with thoughts. So know thyself. And I talked to you about it, didn't I, on Sunday? I think in the morning I was just like, I've got this idea, I know I should do it, but I can feel the anxiety coming in, I can feel the excuses coming in, and I know unless I set a time and say I'm going to do it, I won't do it. And so I just quickly put an advert out saying, right, I'm going to be on at 2:00. and so I did it. But I do believe that if I hadn't have just gone, right, I'm going to take the first step and tell everyone I'm going to do it, because if I don't say I'm going to do it, then I'll shy away from it. And so it's me telling everybody that I was going to do it is a bit like finding an accountability partner, isn't it?
It is.
And it really
it does help. And it did help you. Like when you were texting me that morning about it, you were saying the self-sabotage while finding the solution in it at the same time. So like you were kind of fixing it. You were so aware that what you were doing was, it was false fear, it was ego mind. And that's the thing with the ego mind. When our soul wants us to do something that is good for us, the ego tries to keep us stuck in that caveman mentality. Yeah. Don't leave the cave or you're going to get killed by a saber-tooth tiger. And that's what happens. But like when you know it's good for you and that fear comes in, you kind of have to be aware. You kind of say to yourself, this is stopping me from doing something I know is going to make me feel good. Yeah. So don't listen to that. And, being aware of that voice and just understanding, don't listen to it, because you're going to feel good at the end of the thing that you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it's embracing discomfort, isn't it? Because if you're not uncomfortable, you're not really pushing forward. It's just like at the gym, if you just go there and do 3 sit-ups and it didn't even hurt, or you do like lift the weight twice and go, right, that's it, I'm done. You're not progressing. There's got to be some discomfort for growth to happen, doesn't it?
Yeah,
You know,
definitely. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
otherwise we just get stuck in the same pattern. And it's not your fault if that's the way you are. That's how your brain is designed. It's like, right, I found a safe place, let's stay here. And yet
That's it. And it's the old belief system. It's believing, like, we were in this old mentality that we have to be stuck in this matrix system, this conditioned world. But like, we can break out of that. And when we do break out of it, it's so unfamiliar, unknown, that it does frighten us. And it's like, will I not just go back into that safety? Or will I just still move forward? And like, it's a hard one, like, because you're fighting with your own mind, your old mind and your new mind, and you're literally torn between two places. But just knowing and being aware of that is the first step to be able to overcome it.
Yeah, and it's going back to what we were saying last week about who are you voting for, you know? So when you let the excuse come in, who are you voting for? Are you voting for the old you, or are you voting for who you are being, who wanting to be, you know?